last weekend against Sport. Some of the takeaways from that, some of the stories being shared.
Oh, there were a lot of stories. I mean, I'm not sure all of them were true. They kind of got embellished as 25 years has elapsed, but I think the main takeaway, they're just so appreciative that, we would recognize them, and why would we not? I mean, but just, they're always welcome back here. They know that. They love following our team. They love these guys. And I think it's always, the further you get removed from your experience here, the more appreciative you are of it. I think as they get older and they see what life really entails, and they tell these guys that all the time, whether it's the 2000 team or guys older than that, guys younger than that, these are special years and special memories that these guys have here, and sometimes you take them for granted because they fly by so fast. And we all know when we were kids, right? Our parents told us, like, these are the best years of your life and enjoy these because it'll go fast. And I think once you go through it and then you get a little further removed and you start looking back and savoring and remembering. And really with these guys, we had them at practice, and then I had them up in my office for a little round table and happy hour, and they didn't talk about the games. They talked about all the other fun things, from imitating coaches that they played for to talking about different teammates. And it was just like all groups, you just like I said, you have to filter out what was really happened and what the story is today. But it was a really good weekend with them, and they got a chance to spend some time with them again after the game on Saturday at a social event we had for them. So
Obviously, staffs have changed and the game has changed in 25 years, but is there anything you could absorb, like, from just kind of going through stories of, like, a successful season 25 years ago, like, kind of looking back at the successful years 10 and 11 years ago that you guys had, I guess, like, Final Four seasons in general, like,
yeah,
can you absorb?
they're all different. They're all different, right? I mean, that team was 13-12, and they had to win almost every game in order to qualify for the tournament. And then we're able to, get the matchups that were very favorable. As I always say, the West Coast didn't want to see the West region wasn't ready for the Pac defense. LSU and Fresno State and Arizona and so on. So it's just every team has their own journey. I think the biggest thing, like I said, they didn't talk about the Final Four or the games. It was all about their time here and things that happen in the locker room, things that happen on plane trips. And like I said, they all have their imitation now of Coach Bennett and things that he would say and how he would say them. And I know the guys that I coached over the years with Platteville and with Milwaukee and with Wisconsin with Bo here, they can all imitate Bo, and I've caught wind that some guys imitate me. So I guess that's the pleasure of being the head coach for a long time, is eventually they pick up on some of your nuances and your sayings and those things. So it was all good. They just enjoy. The biggest thing is just enjoy the moment they have here, because these moments are fleeting, and before you know it, your time and your eligibility is gone. So make the most of it and enjoy it.
Well, I'm trying to remember when you guys were at Milwaukee. Did you play UW those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both years.
And I mean, you talked about that defense. What was it like to be on the floor trying to, back then trying to run offense and score against them?
I mean, it was different because the game is so different right now, and that was our first year at Milwaukee was the year in 99-2000. That was the year that they went to the Final Four. So, I mean, we have 6'3" Colombo Kadima trying to guard 6'8" Charlie Wills. So he was our four-man. Chad Angeli, we had a little bit equal matchup at the 5 with Chad Angeli and whoever Vershaw was at the 5 at the time. So, but we were all, there were a lot of freshmen we were playing. That group of Kelly, Kowski, Vershaw, Clinton, those guys were all juniors at that time. So just the experience and the size was pretty differential. We hung for a little while. I don't know what the score at halftime was, but I would say in the second half, I don't know what it ended up, 20-some probably. It became just the physicality and the size took its toll over, as it typically does against, younger mid-major teams. Eventually, the size of the bodies and stuff start wearing you down, and they were able to pull away.
The more you're able to watch Saturday's game, the more you've been able to think about it. Are you falling more in the camp of just one of those weird games, shrug it off, move forward, or, are you concerned?
You're always, I'm concerned after every win, right? I'm dissecting everything, and I think obviously the losses it takes they're a lot harder to swallow for coaches because you play things over and over and over in your mind. But as I looked at that, I mean, that last 5 minutes, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that in 30-some years of coaching, right? And it just everything that had to, like if there were 7 things that we had to do wrong for that to happen, we did 8 of them. So it was just one of those where, yeah, are there things that were in our control? Yes, simple passing, catching decisions, but I think it really came down to we diminished our aggression. We became hesitant. And then when you get hesitant, you become tentative, you don't play as aggressive, you aren't as physical, you get a little bit of a panic mode with your passes, and that's how you drop passes. That's how you throw passes, 5-foot passes that only go 3 feet, and those type of things. So I think it will be a good learning experience for us if it hasn't been already. We've gone through the film, but then you got to flush it, right? You can't dwell on it. And as I said to the team, I said we didn't have a parade last week when we beat Purdue, right? We're not going to have a funeral today when we lost. You have to keep it in balance because Oregon's a good team. You look at who they beat early in the year, and then if they wouldn't have lost 5 in a row, they'd be in the top 10, because they were creeping there before they went on that skid. But I think you got to take it for what it's worth. You can't choke on it, right? And you can't just not pay attention to it, right? We have to learn from it and understand how important being aggressive is for us. We're really good when we're aggressive, and for whatever reason we didn't keep the throttle down like we should have. And you just look at free throws attempted, 0 in the second half, turnovers way up, shots at the rim. I mean, we played at the rim the first half, didn't do that near as much the second half. So assist numbers, 9 assists on 30 baskets, that's low, right? That means the ball's not moving. That means we don't have the pop. We're over dribbling it. We're standing around. So just again, we, for whatever reason, shifted it into a non-aggressive mode that we can't do.
No.
Go ahead, Nick.
In some of this prep now, turning the page to Washington, just what stands out about Osabor and the way he can affect the game, even if he's not just shooting?
Yeah, I mean and I hadn't paid a lot of attention to him until starting Saturday night. I started watching him. A lot of individual talent. You look not only Osabor, but you look at the guards. I mean, between Mason and Harris and Davis, how they're shooting the ball now. All over 40% from 3. Diallo and number 6, Tyree from Minnesota. I'll mispronounce his last name, but just how fast they are with the ball downhill. And then when they get Kepchang, I think that's how you say it, transfer from Oregon, he'd been hurt. He had only played about half the conference games so far, so it just gives him a huge physical presence inside. So, and Dan's always done a good job. He did a really good job at Montana State. He did a really good job at Utah State, and he's had a quick ascension, obviously, to this level. But they've got really good players, and you can see where you don't have to. I always warn people not to look at the final score, right? Watch the games, and you see where they were ahead, and then they got away, and then how games came down. Maybe they lost by 12, but it was actually a 4-point game 3 minutes ago, and those things. So in this league, will have seen everybody, and other than Michigan State and Penn State, and we know those well enough that there aren't any easy ones, and we say that all the time. And I know people on the outside, well, it's just coach speak. It's until you live it. I mean, it really is. And you said you don't have to look very far to watch them for very long to see. And Osabor, you mentioned him at the outset, big, strong, got great hands. I had to go back through his shots to figure out that he wasn't left-handed. He was so good with his left hand. The first few moves I saw him make were all left-hand jump hooks, and I'm like, this is way too smooth for that being a righty. But he is, and he's a wide body. He passes it really well. He's first or second in assist on the team. Like I said, he's a really good player. But he's not all they have. It's way more after really diving deep here in the last 48 hours. It's way more than just great Osabor.
Nolan Leonard, the last few games, he's had these moments, especially in the post, where he's made really nice moves to get buckets in the post. I guess I'm wondering, what have you seen, or what are you seeing in his development that maybe is allowing us to see more of that in games? Yeah,
I think he's gotten stronger, so that helps him not get knocked off his feet and not get knocked off his base. I think his base is better because he is stronger. He understands how important playing with a good base in there. And I think all those things add into giving him more confidence, right? and he's a really confident player right now, which that's the benefit of an experience that he got last year as a freshman. Took that, made himself better physically, improved some parts of his game, and he knows now that I thought he was really good in the paint on Saturday. Rubbish needed to have the ball more in there, as should have Steve, and that was part of our non-aggressive, not attacking the rim approach we had for a while. That, like I said, Nolan's done some really good things. A couple of those moves he made in the first half, he stepped through, he got bumped, he kept his pivot foot. He didn't, 9 months ago he falls down and travels, right? He gets knocked over. He's stronger now, and he understands how to handle physicality in the paint and deal it back too. So all those things are good signs for him.
We gotta get one more question. We gotta get out before Washington gets in. So
Kamari's still shooting a ridiculous percentage from three. Is this a skill that you thought he could develop to this rate when you recruited him? Or is
No,
this-
because he didn't have it. He didn't have it when we recruited him. He's developed it. He's worked at it, and that's a credit to him. He's put a lot of time in, a lot of hours, a lot of thousands of shots. But I think the thing too with Kamari is his percentages are high because he takes really good shots, and that's one of the it's not really a secret. You want to shoot a high percentage, take good shots, and he doesn't force things, and he doesn't rush things, but it all comes back to he's put a lot of time into it, a lot of reps, and a lot of unforeseen hours or unseen hours that people don't know about, that you have to put into it to be a consistent shooter.
Is the instinctual trait something that he had?
That's gotten better.
Sure.
He played really too fast, turned the ball over, threw it to the other jersey more than he threw it to his team's colored jersey. But he's grown as a player, and he's learned to drive the speed limit. He's learned to play off 2 feet. He's learned when to go fast and when not to go fast. And obviously he's become a better decision maker and obviously a better shooter.
you guys good?